Hi Aries, happy birthday and welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your April 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a 12 card spread with each of those cards representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Aries is the first house, all the way through to Pisces representing the 12th house. And once we get to that, we'll actually pull an oracle card for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used, for the main tarot deck, we have the Tarot of the New Vision, and for the Oracle deck, we'll be using the Wisdom of the Oracle. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology decks in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have 4. So 4th house energy for you guys is Cancer. In general, 4th house points to home roots and family. We have Jupiter there. It was retrograde for quite some time, but about a week and a half ago, it actually started direct motion again. So yeah, you could definitely see some growth and expansion, maybe a little bit of luck around that area of life as well. Alright, we have the Sun, so makes sense to see that come up, right? Currently, we have the Sun in your sign. It'll be there until the 20th of April. And then it'll move into Taurus. So it's starting out in your first house, which represents personality and self-awareness, and then it'll move into your second house of possession, self-worth, and finances. And we have Gemini. So Gemini is your 3rd house of communication, and currently it's a little quiet there, but we will actually have Uranus moving back into Gemini, and that'll be on the 27th, I believe. 25th or 27th. I'm like drawing a blank on that part right now. But yeah, so toward the end of April, we'll just say. So that could definitely help reinvigorate that area of life for you guys as well. Not to mention, we just had Mercury retrograde wrap up, and eventually it'll start to clear out of the post-shadow period. So communication in general should improve for you guys as we progress through April. But we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. So for the first house, we have the 2 of Pentacles. This is Capricorn energy here. So for some of you, might be feeling a little bit torn between 2 options, and it could definitely be career related for some of you at the very least, given that that's what Capricorn energy represents in your chart. But seeing this here, I feel like what I'm getting more so than, is it career, is it this or that, I feel like it's maybe more of a traditional path versus a non-conventional path that you might be trying to decide between at this time. In the second house, which points to possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the Chariot. So this is Cancerian energy here, and we did see Cancerian energy come up with the dice as well. So yeah, it could just be saying that when it comes to second house matters, so again, like we said, possession, self-worth, finances, you might feel like things are a little bit faded, right? You might feel like you're being tugged in a certain direction that maybe you don't necessarily feel you have all that much control over. But at the same time, you might feel in a way, like beneath the surface, that there is something faded about where things are headed at this time. And usually that's a good indicator of luck as well. So as we mentioned, Gemini energy came up with your dice as well. And for the 3rd house communication, we have the 2 of Wands. So maybe this is pointing to you having some exposure with new people, right? Maybe you're making some new connections. So again, especially if you were, right, trying to decide between 2 career paths, right? Maybe if it's whittled down to 2 options, you could be talking to both parties there, right? But beyond that, too, it could just be saying that maybe through new connections you're making, maybe they're exposing you to some new options that you might not have had recently. And then it looks like there's overall an energy of exploration for you as well. So yeah, so maybe it's more of, like I was saying, maybe something more traditional versus a little more unconventional. Maybe if you've been on the traditional path, for example, maybe you want something a little bit more out of the ordinary, right, to shake things up a little bit. Or conversely, if you've been on a more nonconformist type of path, now you might want to go to something that's a little bit more stable at this time. So could be trying to decide between those 2 things. In the 4th house, which as we mentioned earlier represents home roots and family, we have the 10 of Wands. So Sagittarian energy here. So yeah, so this could just be saying that maybe you're starting to expose yourself to some new beliefs, right? So maybe, for example, there's a clash between what you might have learned and what you might have believed in your early upbringing versus what you're feeling a little bit more comfortable with now in your current state, right? So maybe there's a bit of a grappling with that. Like, okay, do I still continue with these beliefs that I had from my early upbringing that maybe don't fit with my current life as much? Or do I really have to look into the situation a little more and see, like, okay, do those beliefs really fit with me, or is there something that's better suited for where I am in my life now? For others, you could just be saying that maybe within your home environment, you just feel a little bit overwhelmed and overburdened as well. All right, in the fifth house of romance, creativity, and children, we have the Page of Swords. So yeah, so seeing this energy here, to me, again, like I said, I get a little bit of an energy, a fresh, new energy with this as well, saying that maybe you are crossing paths with people you might not have known in the not too distant past. So yeah, could just be saying that, again, I just get this energy that you're making new connections. Now, for the most part, I feel like there's a part of you that is initiating some of that. But again, going back to what I was saying with the Chariot energy as well, I feel like some of these connections could just be coming your way a little bit more naturally. And unexpectedly. And that could be possibly due to having Pluto in your 11th house of groups and friendships at this time. All right. In the 6th house of health, work, and daily routines, we have the Knight of Pentacles. So this is Virgo energy here. So yeah, so maybe this is part of what it is, right? So like I said, for a lot of you, I feel like if there is something, especially if it's more career and work related, I feel like it's grappling between a more traditional versus non-traditional path. And this could just be saying that within your work lives, maybe you do have something that's steady, it's stable, right? But maybe there's not a lot of growth opportunity there, right? So it could just be one of those things where it's safe, it's secure, but you're like, but if I want to, maybe reach a higher level, this might not be the ideal path for me, right? So that could be something that you're grappling with. Or like, okay, I have the more steady, stable option here, but is there something that I could go out and explore a little bit more, right? That might at least have more of a passionate connection to it versus just, okay, this is the safe, secure bet at this time. Understandable with all the things going on in the world, right? All right, in the 7th house, which is generally partnerships and contracts, we have the 9 of Wands. So yeah, this could just be saying that for some of you, you might feel like you have to go it alone as well, right? So maybe that's part of the issue too, where you're like, I don't know if I want to partner up with someone, maybe because you've done so in the past and you've gotten burned, right? So like, I don't know if I want to go down that route again. But the more positive side of this 9 of Wands energy is usually, especially in the traditional deck, you could see the wands behind this person, but they don't necessarily have an awareness of them, right? So to me, this is saying that, yeah, even if you have gone through rough experiences in the past, rather than just viewing them as, negatives, there's also the fact that you have those experiences behind you, right? So now you can be more discerning. You can make better decisions if something similar were to come to the surface again. So to me, this is saying that, yeah, you are better equipped to handle situations in the past. Maybe you didn't have that knowledge, that experience, so that might have made it easier for you to be taken advantage of. All right, in the 8th house of death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments, we have the 8 of Wands. So a lot of Sagittarius energy popping up in your spread here. This is another Sagittarius card, but yeah, seeing this here, I feel like this is saying that maybe you are better off to cast your net wide, right? Because Sagittarius energy for you guys represents foreign affairs, philosophy, higher learning, right? So this could just be saying that, yeah, maybe if you have stuck to the more traditional path, this could be a time to at least explore something bigger and broader than what you're typically used to. And in doing so, I feel like this is saying it's going to be a positive investment for you guys. So, whether it be a financial situation, right, or just growth, right? I feel like this is saying that there's some positive momentum there. And also, you're going to feel like things are lining up for you guys in that area as well. All right, in the 9th house of philosophy, higher learning, and foreign affairs, we have the 4 of Cups, which is Cancerian energy. So yeah, so seeing this here, connecting with your 4th house energy. So funny enough, right, we have a Cancerian energy in the Sagittarius house, and we have a Sagittarius energy in the Cancerian house. So could just feel like things are being flipped around for you guys in some way. So like I said, yeah, I feel like for some of you, it was maybe this belief system that you might have held for a while, right? And now you're kind of questioning that, right? Again, like we said, given all the things going on in the world, it would totally make sense if that were the case. But let's just say, for example, you went the traditional route, right? You got maybe an advanced degree in college, you have a very secure, stable job, but at the same time, with all the things going on in the world, like, oh, okay, I'm amassing this money, but it could all be taken away at any moment, right? With the way things are going. So maybe you're looking at that like, okay, was that the way I should have been spending my time? Some of this could be more of a temporary, transitory thing, but at the very least, this does show me that you probably would be better off to sit and think about it for a bit. But I feel like in doing so, you'll eventually get the clarity on which way to move forward. All right, in the 10th house of career and social status, we have justice. So this is Libran energy here, which is your opposite sign. And of course, we're going to have that Libra full moon coming up on the 1st of April. So coming up pretty soon here. But yeah, to me, this says that, well, I wouldn't go as far as to say there is no wrong choice, right? That sounds a little extreme. But to me, this says that you can rest assured that there will be balance restored in the situation, whichever path you choose, right? And to me, that ties back to what I was saying with the second house matters. It seems like things might just seem a little faded, right? So even if you do feel like, no, that the decision's solely on your shoulders, right? There could just be something beneath the surface, though, that could be pulling you in one direction. But I feel like this is saying that whichever path you do choose, you can actually expect things to work out for the best. And this could also just be pointing to the timeline. Like we said, that's a very early full moon, right on the 1st of April, but that might help you get a little more clarity around which way to go as well. All right, so in the 11th house of friendship, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the 6 of Pentacles. So this is Taurus energy here. So this could be another thing pointing to a timeline, right? Because like we mentioned with the sun coming up with the dice, we were saying how the sun is currently in your sign, will be moving to Taurus. So this could just be saying that as we progress through April, we might start to already feel or see like tangible evidence of that balance being restored in the situation. So, even if there is some anxiety around a decision, I feel like this is saying that as we progress through the month, you're going to feel on more solid footing around that. All right. And for the 12th house, which in general points to spirituality, blind spots, and mental health, we have the 4 of Pentacles. So more Capricorn energy here. So yeah, to me, this is a good thing to see with the 2 of Pentacles showing up in your first house, because to me, this says that, a lot of times the 4 of Pentacles energy is viewed as holding back, right? Sometimes it's referred to as a miser energy. But given the context of what we're talking about, to me, to see these two things working together is actually more of a positive, because to me, it says that you are going to make a measured decision, right? You're not going to just fly off the handle and randomly decide on something and completely change paths. I feel like this is saying that you really are trying to be strategic and give a lot of thought to the decision before you move forward with it. All right, and at the bottom of the deck, we have the 7 of Swords. So this is Aquarius energy here. And yeah, this could potentially be linked to what we were talking about with the 9 of Wands, right? Where there could be a reluctance on your part to partner up with people because maybe in the past you've gotten burned in doing so. So through that, maybe you're putting a little bit more weight on your shoulders, feeling like you have to make the decision alone. But if that's the case, I feel like this is saying there are some people in your group that you can trust and lean on at this time, and maybe they could give you some solid advice around the situation as well. But we'll see what the Oracle card adds to the mix. So, like I mentioned, we're going to pull a card from the Wisdom Oracle deck. I'm just going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. Alright, so take this card here, get this out of the way as I make a mess, and we'll see what card you got. Alright, we have 2 to see, there's the artwork, and the number is 7. So we'll see what this has to say. All right, essential meanings says being in flow, returning to source, recognizing how pieces fit together, a natural pattern of events. The Oracle's message. Isn't it wonderful when you feel yourself in the flow of life, when events and conditions seem to engage you in a way that is fluid and effortless? This card reminds you that going with the flow is exactly what you need to do right now. Ride the wave of opportunity formed by perfect conditions. Allow trust and faith to guide you forward as you flow like a river into the sea of life. So definitely an interesting message there, especially when it talked about going with the flow, because it makes you think of what I was saying with the chariot energy, right? Where, like I said, it could just be something you're feeling beneath the surface that's nudging you in the right direction. Then we talked about with the justice energy, that it seems like whichever path you end up choosing anyway, it looks like it'll work out for the best. So that seems to align with that in that regard. The relationship message says there are points in a relationship when you have to decide to go with the flow rather than dictate the course you share with another. Can you let go of the need to have things your way and allow the relationship itself, your combined goals and desires, to steer the ship? Can you both transcend your personalities and allow the partnership to form its own identity, its own energy? Now is the time to relax and see where this mutual journey leads. So yeah, reading that message there makes you think of these two cards slightly differently, because these are both tied to relationship and romance. This could just be saying that maybe for some of you, you are a little bit guarded when it comes to getting into a connection. So you might be feeling a little bit like a fish out of water with the communication, right? And maybe putting yourselves out there again. I feel like this is saying, as far as that goes, you could just try to treat it a little bit more naturally, right? Try not to put too much pressure on the situation and just see where things head. All right, the prosperity message says everything seems to work out when you stop scrambling and allow the sea of opportunities to wash over you and wake you up to your most prosperous potential. To get into the flow, you need to address your beliefs about abundance and money. The true meaning of your personal currency lies in your skills and talents and abilities, and most important, your core beliefs. Everything flows from your inner world and is reflected in the outer one. When, grateful to serve, you align your prosperity consciousness with a higher consciousness, you can expect miracles. Everything you need will come to you easily. So definitely an interesting message there, right? Especially when it talked about, your core beliefs, because like I said, for some of you, maybe you're reconsidering those things, right? And whether or not they do still fit with where you currently are. So there could be some shakeups as far as that goes. And then maybe that's what's going to be the main obstacle, right? You have to get settled on that before you can move forward. But again, like I said, it seems like these messages seem to emphasize what we were saying, that, like I said, I wouldn't go to the extreme to say no wrong decision. But again, I feel like there's something a little bit more faded beneath the surface, helping guide you in the right direction anyway. So once again, happy birthday, and hopefully that resonated with you guys, and we'll wrap up there. Bye.